On my birthday, Alexander posted a photo with his female secretary. Both of them wore matching couple rings. I commented that a work partner is also a life partner. The perfect match. Alexander called me immediately, angrily accusing me of being crazy. And no joke. Before hanging up, he comforted the sobbing secretary softly. Past. I would rush over hysterically, create a scene where everyone laughs. But this time, I felt calm and completely untroubled. Chapter 1. When Alexander gets home. I was making breakfast. Yesterday was my birthday. He said he would come back and celebrate with me. So, I left work early and prepared a whole table of dishes. But even at midnight, he never appeared. If it's not that photo, I'll keep waiting stupidly. He asked as I brought the sandwich to the table. Where's mine? I was taken aback. Didn't you eat it? I thought Christine would make him breakfast, so I didn't prepare his share. He glanced at my plate and sneered. Anyway, this garbage is not worth eating. In the past, it would have saddened me to hear that. Eager to argue. But now I'm just nodding. Yes, you don't like it anyway. He stiffened for a moment, then threw a paper bag at me. I bought you a lipstick. Every time we fight, he would buy me something for a peace offering, knowing I can't stay angry with him for a long time, and eagerly take the opportunity to reconcile. I didn't look up and replied contemptuously, "Thank you." Didn't get the response he wanted. He snorted, walked to the bathroom, and grumbled. What you wear? You're too old to be pink. You feel like you're about the same age as Ava. My hand paused. He forgot about that. Christine and I were born in the same year. When cleaning up a table, Alexander's phone. Staying on the table, I received a message from the lovely Ava. Thank you for being with me yesterday. I feel much better. I glanced at it, then looked away. But suddenly it was pulled back, slamming into the wall. With a suffocating moan. An angry cry. Hannah, who let you look at my phone? I was pale and clutched to my shoulders. Sensation is dislocated. After replying to the message, Alexander noticed a cold sweat on my face, then frowned. It's just a slight bump. No need to overreact. Before I could speak, he added impatiently, well, good. I'm sorry. I'll drive you to work later. Good. Chapter 2. I was hurt, but naturally I didn't refuse. As soon as I got in the car, I noticed a kitten charm hanging on the front. Alexander looked uncomfortable. Ava loved it and insisted on hanging it. I replied lightly, oh, that's nice. But his expression became strange. Your Lucky Charms are too cheesy. So I took it down. I stared blankly at him. He can change it if he wants to. Why? Explain it to me. Suddenly I remembered. Lucky Charms are something I got after walking for 2 hours up the mountain. Despite his dismissiveness, I hung it in the car. If it's the old me, I'll probably be thrown out right away. Avatine stuff. But now I don't care about Alexander anymore. So, what's the point of competing with her? Let's go. We're going to be late. Corinne finally started the car. As soon as we walked up the high bridge, I realized that the route was wrong. This is the way to the Starlight Tower. He smacked his tongue. Can you not nag when I'm driving? I said calmly. My current office is in the San Francisco International Holland building. He became irritable. Why didn't you say it earlier? I told him, but he doesn't remember. After stepping out of the ramp, his phone suddenly rang. Ringtones. Avatine liked Pikachu. She said her cat was sick and needed to see a veterinarian. Alexander pulled over and let me out. Because we have gone down the wrong path. You can find your own way of working. With that, he sped away. During the morning rush hour, I can't get a taxi. Standing in the cold for more than an hour. Exhausted from freezing. I ended up taking a day off and go to the orthopedic hospital. At night, Alexander went home, checked the kitchen and asked, where is the late-night snack? Chapter 3. Before going home, he sent me a message. So many years together. Whenever he came home late, I always prepare a late-night snack for him. No need to be reminded. I replied contemptuously. I didn't check my phone. Alexander paused for a moment, then handed me a box. Didn't you say you wanted to buy a necklace last time? Over here? I looked away from the TV screen and saw the familiar design. I politely say, "Thank you, but I've recently lost interest in wearing a necklace." Earlier in the day, Avatine just released a photo where this exact necklace, complaining about the design is too outdated to her taste. Alexander leaned in, tried to hang the necklace around my neck. Give it a try anyway. When his hand approached, it feels like it still carries the warmth around Christine's neck. I reflexively reached out to stop him, and that delicate necklace broke in an instant. Alexander frowned. "Are you still angry that you have to go to work? Yourself?" "I'm not angry," Alexander sneered. "Don't pretend you're not angry, Isabella. I know you too well. You've always been stingy. Unlike Chris, who is so magnanimous. I grew up reading people's expressions. Naturally sensitive. Every time we argue, Colin would laugh at me for being stingy. When I cried hysterically, he would watch calmly from the sidelines, amused. But this time he will be disappointed." I just looked away indifferently. "You are right." After watching more TV for a while, I got up and packed my things and went out. Alexander scoffed. "What? Running away from home again?" I looked back at him calmly. "I'm going to work overtime." His expression froze in embarrassment, as if he had something else to say. "But I've opened the door. I spent the night play murder mystery games with my best friend Betty." Alexander called, but I didn't answer. Betty was shocked. "You didn't answer your husband's call." Everyone knows that I love Alexander with all my heart. I always answer his calls and texts right away, but I didn't like it at all tonight. Instead, I dragged Betty to a bar. When I got home, the sun had just started to rise. I went straight to my room to wash up. I had just fallen asleep when a loud bang woke me up. Chapter 4, You Still Know How to Come Back. Ignore Colin's sarcastic tone. I rolled over and continued to fall asleep. Past. If he wants to talk, I always cater to him. Stay away when he's angry. I'm always the one who wagged my tail and begging for attention. Now I have no response. Alexander stood there for a moment. Then he suddenly slammed the door shut and walked out in a rage. No one bothered me. I slept soundly. When I woke up, I found the house empty and I felt very comfortable. I leisurely made lunch for one person, enjoyed it, and went. Meet the divorce lawyers recommended by Betty. One to the law firm. I saw a video posted by Alexander's good friend Pablo. It was at his birthday party. In the middle of the video, Alexander appeared and Avatine sat on his lap. Before the video finishes playing, it was removed and Alexander immediately called. Don't get me wrong, my dear. Ava had just lost her balance and I helped her. I replied confused. I wasn't mistaken. And then, don't be angry. On Pablo's birthday, you're at work. So I'm more confused. Why am I angry? Alexander was speechless for a moment. After a long silence, he finally spoke. I'll pick you up tonight, and we'll go out for dinner. I was about to say no when I heard a dial tone. He had already hung up. Alexander came to pick me up. Then we went straight to a Japanese restaurant. As soon as we walked in, the lobby manager bypassed me and respectfully addressed Corinne. Behind me, Mr. Dwan. You are here. Wife. Dwan was already waiting in the Sakura room. Colin's face changed instantly. Just as he was about to say something, Christine walked out. Her eyes lit up when she saw him. She ran to her affectionately. Corinne, dear. And then as if just noticing me, oh, Sister Hannah. You're here too. You haven't been to this place before, have you? Corn Darling loves their sea urchin salad. Lobby manager. Quietly feel the tension in Chapter 5. I smiled faintly. What a coincidence. Corn's expression changed slightly when he came over and grabbed my hand. But I turned and left. Let's go. I am hungry. Throughout the meal, Alexander was distracted, glancing at me often. Dishes and presentations are provided. I occasionally respond with a few perfunctory words, but eventually I sighed. Focus only on eating. Halfway through the meal, the owner of the restaurant came over for a chat. I realized that this place was Marco's, a friend of Alexander's. Marco apologized to me, said the waiter was inexperienced, and got the wrong person. I know. This is how he explained it to Alexander. His friends are all very loyal, always cover for him. I smiled. It's not a big deal. Thank you for all the way here. Seeing that I didn't make a fuss, Marco seemed a little surprised. After a few more casual words, he left. After eating, I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I saw Alexander with a drunken glass, rustic with an affectionate look. Last year, I was still drunk at a work event. My colleague called Alexander from my phone, but he refused to come and pick me up. After my colleague dropped me home, I've been entering the wrong password and, in early winter, ended up sleeping in the hallway all night. It wasn't until the next morning that I found out Alexander has been at home. All this time, I didn't want you in. I want you to learn your lesson. What kind of behavior? Women drinking outside or not? Come to think of this, I went back to the private room, picked up my bag, and left. As soon as I got home, Alexander's phone rang. Isabella, are you crazy? You left without saying a word. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you? I calmly replied, Colin, let's get a divorce. This is the second time I have filed for divorce. The first time was on last year's wedding anniversary. Alexander takes Avatine to the aquarium. We had a big fight. He pushed me so hard that I miscarried. I thought I could threaten him with a divorce, but to my surprise, he readily agreed. So I wept bitterly. I begged him to forgive me for my reckless words. But this time I really wanted to go out. Chapter 6, Colin froze. After a moment, he suddenly let out a sneer. You're playing this trick again. Good. I'll be right back. Let's see what other stunts you can pull out. Half an hour later, he finally got home. I handed him the prepared divorce papers, but Alexander jerked back. Let the file fall to the ground. Hey, you're really going to give it your all? He gave me a deep look. This game is getting older. This time it's true. But he sneered contemptuously and said, Hannah, I know you too. Well, if you're going to work hard to get, at least use your brains. You even have one. With that, he turned and walked away. For the next few days, he did not return home. I'm very happy with that. Then one day, Marco frantically called. Say Alexander was in a car accident. I need to go to the hospital. I calmly said that I was working. I can't go. If he really needs someone to take care of him, just ask Avatine. After all, he didn't want to see me anyway. He might be happier Avatine there. But when I get off work, I found the man who should be in the hospital sit at home. There were no injuries at all. Although his face was sour when he saw me come in, he washed some fruit and brought it to me. Every day after that, with a sour face, he made me breakfast and drove me to and from work. I can't take it anymore. If you really don't like eating with me, don't push yourself. You've ruined my appetite too. He was stunned for a moment. His face became even more gloomy and he said stiffly, I'm not forcing myself. Then he lowered his head and refreshed his social media, probably waiting for me to post about how good he was to me, just like I used to. But I didn't post anything and even blocked him. Divorce papers sit on the coffee table. But Alexander acted. It's like he can't see them. I didn't push him. My lawyer says patience is key at this stage. Weekend. I went with Betty to welcome a friend back to town. When I stepped on the floor of the address she had already sent, shouted a surprised voice. Wife, are you coming to see me? Chapter 7. My presence left Alexander ecstatic. He smiled and put his arm around me. Everybody's here. Let's say hello and go home. Before I refuse, he had already taken me to that private room. The door opened, and the sound inside became distinctly audible. Both Pablo and Marco are speaking to Christine. Call her sister-in-law. The last time I heard this headline was last year, when Pablo asked Colin, take my sister-in-law to his winery. On the way back, I joked with him. Known as the little sister-in-law. It makes me feel much younger. Colin, however, yelled at me irritably. It's annoying. How old are you? Do you feel anything? Stop pretending to be young. You are crazy. It turns out that they didn't even talk about me. Alexander looked at me nervously. They're just joking with the title. That's it. I'm replying to a message. said casually. It's just a title. They can call whomever they want. I saw him walk in with me in his arms. The expressions of the others were different. Pablo quickly stood up. Up, sister-in-law. I forgot to invite you to my birthday party last time. You let me take care of that. I smiled and responded politely. I said a few words before Colin pulled me down and sat me down. Christine initially showed dissatisfaction, now giggling sweetly. China, Colin said, you don't like this kind of party. I almost believed it. Thought you just didn't want to come. Passed. I really wanted to fit into Corinne's life. But he rarely took me to a party with his friends. Say I'm not familiar with them. And everybody would feel like I was embarrassed to be around. But now, in this private room, there is a smoky, rich atmosphere. I really don't want to stay here. Others began to encourage us. Drink a traditional toast drink together. Christine eagerly handed me a glass. I noticed the watch and ring she was wearing. These designs are all too familiar. Because Corinne has it too. Betty sent me an I'm here. My eyes lit up and I stood up and took Christine's hand. In a look of surprise, I asked Davatine to sit down next to Corinne. Ignore his panicked expression. Hand them both a glass of wine. And intertwined their hands, with a smile full of satisfaction. Like an elder witnessing a wedding. I said, both of you, drink a toast and be together forever. The good life. Seeing that they didn't move, I quickly explained. Don't worry, I'm not going to break you up. I also want lovers to be together. There was silence in the room. Everyone stared at the three of us in shock. I urged them, come on, drink. There you have that. I walked out of the private room with light steps. Chapter 8. Hanny. Alexander chased after me. His expression was frantic and his lips trembled. Kristen and I are not what you think. I looked at him in bewilderment. What do you mean? He stammered, trying to explain. There is nothing between us. True. You have to trust me. He raised his hand. Take off your watch and throw it on the ground. Then the ring was pulled down. His fingers rubbed vigorously. These are just for fun. They don't make any sense. You see, I threw them away. He desperately clung to my arm. Just like I once did. When I saw him. Accompany Avatine to the gynecologist. Then, I hugged him tightly. Thought I could capture his heart in this way. But he frowned in disgust. Pushed me away and snapped. Can you behave appropriately in public? Now the roles are reversed. And he is the one who begs in despair. I coldly pried his hand open. Well behaved in public, Mr. Dune. He stared at me in disbelief, and I went further. But he didn't dare to follow. Alexander texted me all the time during the welcome dinner. But I didn't look at a single piece of information. Eventually, he called. But I put my phone on silent and stuffed it in my bag. Betty asked, is that okay? I smiled calmly. He doesn't matter. Let's not let him ruin our good mood. When I walked out of the private room, a figure leaning against the wall of the doorway. Bright whitening. Hanny, I'll take you home. I shook my head and kept walking. No, you don't. My friends and I have another activity. Colin followed closely, his tone pleading. Then send me the address. I'll pick you up. I didn't say anything and walked out. On the way, I finally checked the message he had sent earlier. There are more than a dozen. First, ask me when it's over so we can go home together. Then he asked me if I had brought any hangover pills. And said he went out to buy some yogurt. Ask him if he can bring it to me. Finally, he said he was waiting at the door. And I'll see him when I come out. When we left the restaurant, Betty said goodbye. Maxwell and I went back to the orphanage. Chapter 9. That night, Maxwell and I stayed in an orphanage. Alexander went crazy. Sent me dozens of messages and made more than 10 calls. When I woke up, I finally answered. He sounded anxious, but cautious. Hanny, aren't you done yet? At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Maxwell told me to go out for breakfast. Alexander was silent for a moment, then spoke again. His voice was strained. Is it the man? Since yesterday. It occurred to me that he had never met Maxwell. Yes, his voice trembled, and his breathing became rapid. Where are you? I'll pick you up, I replied coldly. Making up lies at Betty's house. Alexander hesitated for a moment before speaking with difficulty. I was right outside Betty's house. And so she went. I smacked my tongue in annoyance. Are you crazy? Do I need to report my whereabouts to you? He hastened to explain, his tone still mild. Yes, I'm worried about you, Hanny. Just tell me where you are and I'll pick you up. Orphanage. He hesitated and asked where the orphanage was. My patience ran out and I hung up. Somehow he managed to find me. Just as I walked out of the orphanage, Colin was already waiting at the entrance. His eyes looked at Maxwell warily. Maxwell shrugged indifferently, then walked towards his car. Alexander eagerly opened the passenger door for me, but I took one look and chose to sit in the back. On the dashboard, in front of the passenger seat, it is a black lace camisole. Alexander's pupils. He shrank as he hurriedly threw it out of the car. Chris stammered and borrowed my car to get a change of clothes. We didn't do anything, Hanny. I closed my eyes and interrupted him. Stop talking, Hanny. I opened my eyes and said calmly, I really feel a little sick. His face turned pale in an instant. I added with satisfaction. I ate too much and had an upset stomach. Let's go. He stood there and processed my words. Not sure if I'm serious. Before hesitating to get on the bus and start the engine. Capitulo 10. When I got home, I went to the study to work overtime. When I came out, Alexander has prepared 2 dishes and a bowl of soup. Alexander's cooking skills are better than mine. In the past, I was most looking forward to it. Did he cook for me on my birthday? But that never happened. Whenever I brought it up, he said impatiently, You are an orphan, not a spoiled princess. Why you need someone to cater to you? So pretentious. If you want to eat, cook your own food. That's not to say you can't take care of yourself. But Avatine. He often posts photos of the bento boxes he makes. With love. At one point, he left a bento box on the table. I thought it was for me. So I took it. We got home that night. He grabbed a handful of uneaten lunches, then shoved it into my mouth. Do you really want to eat what I made? Eat it. You look like a beggar. Eat, eat, eat. Why don't you just choke like that? Before he went home, I saw Avatine's post on social media. Someone made me a bento with love, but it was stolen. It's painful. It was only then that I realized that this bento was for Avatine. Because Kristen was sad. Now he's punishing me again for upsetting her. At that time, I had food all over my face and hair. I cried while washing. When I came out, Alexander looked at me expectantly. Hanny, I made your favorite. Sweet and sour pork rib seafood soup. I walked over to the table. He eagerly handed me the chopsticks. I picked up a rib and threw it on the floor, laughing, trying to feed the beggars. Eat it yourself. He stared at me in shock. It was as if he didn't understand what I was doing. Then I picked up the can of soup and poured it over his head. What is it? It smells bad. The boiling soup made his face flush. But he didn't say anything. After doing all this, my takeout arrived. I took it back to my study to eat. Ignore Corin to clean up the mess. Chapter 11. It wasn't long before he came and knocked on the door. Hanny, He is interrupted by the ringing of Piccioni. Kristen was crying and saying something on the other end of the phone. After hanging up the phone, Porin explained through the door. Hanny, please wait for me at home. M0.Avatine is troubled by customers. It is related to the company's business. I need to fix it. I'll clean up the mess on the floor when I get back. I'll bring you your favorite cheesecake. I replied perfunctorily, put on my headphones, and listened to Betty on the other side. Waited for a long time. Didn't receive any other response from me. Colin finally left in a hurry. The door slammed shut behind him. Once you have confirmed your travel itinerary with Betty, I picked up my luggage, then head straight to the airport. The divorce agreement is placed on the coffee table. Please sign as soon as possible. After almost 10 hours of flight, I landed and received a couple of text messages. One from a colleague. Your husband comes to the office looking for you. Didn't you tell him you took a leave of absence? The other is from Maxwell. Alexander came to me, but I wasn't at home. He may have misunderstood something. Just as I finished reading the message, the orphanage is called. Tell me, Colin has searched the whole place. Yesterday I tried to find me. Looking at the call logs, Corin made more than 20 calls. I didn't call back. Instead, I used a local SIM card instead. Had a month of carefree fun. Here I am just myself. Beautiful scenery with friends around. I don't have to worry about men. Don't go home at night. Don't be heartbroken by his cold words. And you don't have to lose yourself in order to please him. I experienced an unprecedented level of ease and joy. Chapter 12, a month later. I got home, and the divorce agreement remains intact. On the coffee table, I opened my luggage. Alexander's fingerprint was removed from the door lock and changed the password before returning. My application has been approved. I was assigned to go to the UK within 3 months. Betty and Maxwell book a restaurant to celebrate with me. But as soon as I got to the restaurant parking lot, I met Alexander and Avatine. They also had dinner there. When I got home, I looked at Alexander's activity over the past month. Can't find me after that. His social media became very active. One day, he posted a photo of the tie I bought for him. Say, it can tie a person's heart. The next day, he posted a photo of us on a date. Remember the promises we made. The next day, he shared a photo of the dishes he cooked. He said his wife loved his cooking. Anyone who doesn't know probably really thought he was a loving husband. He loves his family. When he saw me, his face darkened and he strode over. I quickly dodged his hand, trying to grab me, deftly moved behind Maxwell. Before Colin could say anything, Christine screamed. Her face was full of indignation. Hannah, you're such a fickle woman. You haven't even been divorced yet. And you're already flirting with other men. Go in and out with your lover. Alexander was already glaring at us. Christine's words made him furious. He flailed his fist in anger. How dare you flirt with my wife, you bastard? There's no way I'm going to let him hit my friend. So I hurriedly threw the bag at him. It landed heavily on his face. He looked at me in disbelief. I said coldly, "Get lost." Colin's eyes instantly turned red. His face was full of grievances and accusations. Wife, are you hitting me for another man? I sneered. Yes. Is there a problem? He stood there in a daze, apparently unable to understand why this woman, the person who used to care about him the most, she loved him more than herself, now humiliate him for the sake of others. Chapter 13. Christine walked over and connected her arm to Colin's. He glanced at me triumphantly. Then she whispered to Colin, "Colin, let's go. She doesn't appreciate you, but I." Colin suddenly pushed her away with all his might. His eyes were still on me. Wife, I know I've made mistakes before. Please forgive me for going home, okay? I cook for you every day. Whatever you want. I'll do it for you. I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh. In the past, if he had pleaded with me so humbly, my heart will ache for him. I would have liked to forgive him right away. But now, where did he get that confidence? Does he really think so? Just wave with your fingers. I'll run back like a dog. Alexander, if you don't want me to take legal action, sign divorce papers quickly. I'm sure you won't want it. Such a small thing affects your image. With that, I took Maxwell and Betty into the restaurant. Alexander walked in with a gloomy face. Christine hurried after him, but they didn't dare to take his hand. They walked into the private room next door to us. But the partition doesn't block the sound. Just as Betty raised her glass, "I wish me success in my studies," the sound of glass breaking came from next door. Before I could say anything, I heard Colin yelling to get out. "Don't touch me." The waiter went in to check, but no one responded. Soon after, the sound of hurried footsteps faded away. Not even 10 minutes later, everything was completely silent next door. That night, Colin couldn't get in. He knocked violently on the door, shouting and shouting, without the slightest concern for his image. I called the security guards and the police. Until then, everything outside was quiet. However, the divorce papers still haven't been sent to me. So I had my attorney file a lawsuit. Chapter 14. 3 months later, I went to England. Attend a training session at the company's headquarters. A week later, I saw Corin downstairs at my house. Looks exhausted. It was drizzling, but he didn't have an umbrella. Standing there, the rain soaking his hair and clothes. Some of his colleagues felt sorry for him and asked me what to do. I calmly told them not to interfere, as well as those who decided to help. He must be held accountable. I don't want to be a part of it. So next week, everyone in the building saw Corin stand in the rain, day after day, until his face turned red. He collapsed to the ground. Team leader. I can't take it anymore. Finally took him to the hospital. When he tries to pay Alexander's medical bills, I stopped him in time and called Alexander's parents. The wealthy couple soon came to England. When they saw me, their expressions were very unpleasant. They never liked me anyway. If it weren't for Alexander's insistence on marrying me, how could an orphan be? No background and general qualifications. Once married into such a wealthy family, Corin and I didn't have a wedding. Except for some of his friends and immediate family members, no one knew we were married. It's not that I didn't protest, but Corin hugged me tightly and explained, "My parents can't accept it now. If we have a wedding, they're going to be angry. That will only make them feel worse about you." I was completely focused on him. I thought he was thinking about my feelings, but there are no rings either. Alexander paused, then reassured me. "When my parents accepted it and had a wedding, I will personally put the ring on your finger. Wouldn't that be better? It would be nice if I bought you any rings. Right now, I'll feel like I've wronged you." I believed him without hesitation. That is until he and Avatine wear matching rings. I realized how stupid I had been. Chapter 15, Madam. Dwayne came over and took my hand. "Henny, I know you've been wronged for a few years. Now Alexander has gotten better. Please forgive him." There was still a hint of disdain in her eyes, and discontent. Yet she humbly convinced me, just to appease me temporarily, and prevent me from hurting their precious son. I chuckled softly and pretended to agree. It was only then that Mr. Dwayne and his wife left the hospital. Satisfied, I went into the ward alone. Alexander had woken up and looked at me eagerly. "When you're well, go home. Don't trouble me anymore." I turned away. But behind me, I heard the thud of Corin falling off the bed. Henny, her eyes were red and her face was pale. His voice was full of pleading. "Henny, I know I made a mistake. Can you forgive me? I've removed Avatine's contact information. She's no longer my employee. Can you?" I coldly interrupted him and said, "There's no need. I already know about it." Third day in the UK. Betty sent me a video of Avatine publicly accused Corin of harassing her, under the guise of his position, and a wealth of evidence. The Duvin family has filed a lawsuit against Christine, present evidence, and accuse her of defamation and extortion. She has been detained. This pair of scumbags is a perfect match indeed. I looked at him indifferently. I felt a wave of nausea in my stomach. "Alexander, with or without Avatine, you're enough to disgust me." He sat up awkwardly and leaned back on the bed. His voice trembled. "Henny, I know you think I love Avatine, but I really don't." "Good. If you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you." He picked up the fruit knife from the bedside table, then stabbed it in his chest. The blood spreads rapidly. Chapter 16, Henny. I cut open my heart to show you. His already pale face turned a ghostly white, and beads of sweat, as big as a pearl, dripping from his face onto the floor. He gasped. He crawled towards me on his knees, moving slowly. Grabbed my ankles. "Henny, please have mercy on me again. Don't you love me, Henny?" "See. I've proven it." I stared at him coldly for a moment. "Alexander, it's a pity you didn't pursue acting. You even convinced yourself with this performance. Isn't it?" The blood continues to flow. I turned my head and called out to the doctor. In the chaos that followed, Mr. and Madam Dwayne hurried back, but they didn't have time to blame me. They were too worried about their son. Alexander was eventually saved. He weakly tells his parents that you can bully Henny if you dare. I'll stab myself again. I thought it was ridiculous and left the hospital. Wife. Dwayne called me several times. Let me visit Alexander in the hospital. but I decisively refused. A few days later, Alexander showed up in front of my building, wearing a hospital gown. When he saw me coming back, he stumbled after me. China. I walked straight ahead, pretending he didn't exist. He followed me into the elevator. But when the door closed, I left him outside. The next day, he reappeared. I called my wife, Dwayne, and she hurried over to take him away. After 6 months of training, I returned to my country and was promoted to department manager. Betty and Maxwell prepare a big cake. Celebrate at my house. I had just finished cutting the cake when the doorbell rang. Probably delivery. I went to open the door, but it was Colin standing there. During this time, he lost a lot of weight. As soon as he saw me, he forced a smile. "Hanny, I heard you've been promoted. I'm here to congratulate you." Maxwell walked out. Then he put an arm around my shoulder. Who? Chapter 17. Colin's face turned pale. It was as if he had suddenly lost his voice. After a long pause, he finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "Can I come in and celebrate with you?" Maxwell graciously stepped aside. "Of course. Mr. Duan, please come in." Korn is unsteady on his feet when he takes off his shoes. But he couldn't find the familiar pair of slippers. Maxwell handed him a pair of disposable slippers. "Sorry, we don't have any extra slippers at home." Alexander didn't stay long before leaving. Soon after he left, he called me Hanny. "I know there is no relationship between you and Maxwell. You're just mad at me." Ahem. I beep, beep, beep. The call came to an abrupt end. I glanced at my phone in confusion, but didn't think much about it. About half an hour later, another call came in. "Hello, this is the 3rd hospital in the city. Are you a relative of Mr. Alexander? He had a car accident. He is currently receiving emergency treatment. Please come early." The chaotic sounds of the emergency room, at the other end, brings back memories of this last year's time, when Korn dropped me on the ground. Accompany Avatine on a tour of the aquarium. After he left, I have severe abdominal pain. The floor was covered in blood. While waiting for an ambulance, I called him crying and begged him to come back. But he was impatient. "What if I go back? I'm not a doctor." "Why are you exaggerating?" "Always crying. Leave me alone." When I tried to call him again, I got a phone shutdown message. After surgery, I saw Avatine's post. A photo of her and Cohen stand next to the jellyfish tank. Their faces were pressed tightly together. As memories resurface, the doctor on the other end of the line asked again. I laughed. "Sorry, you found the wrong number. I don't know the person you're talking about." Chapter 18. After a long 10-month divorce battle, it's finally over. Alexander, now a double amputee, sitting in a wheelchair, staring at me like a treasure. But I was busy celebrating with Betty. Hug her and cheer. In addition to freeing himself from Alexander, I also gained a lot of wealth. 5 years later, has been promoted to an administrative position at the company's headquarters. I was traveling abroad at the time. Betty calls Hanny. Colin committed suicide. This morning, I opened the news page and saw Dwayne. Group obituary. After enduring a long period of depression and physical pain, he died. On social media, a popular video shows Avatine just got out of prison, live streaming while gloating. "That bastard is finally dead." Ha ha. Her laughter was abruptly interrupted when she was hit and was thrown across the street. Her phone smashed to the ground. I turned off my phone and looked at Skogafoss. The waterfall is in front of me. I felt incredibly calm. These people don't have anything to do with me anymore.